Welcome back to my second installment of my Life with the 2022 Husqvarna FC350 series. I've been blown away with how many people watched the first video, so it really motivates me to come back out here and keep on learning and sharing the things that I learn. So thanks for everyone who's watched that and subscribed to the channel. It definitely keeps my interest up for doing projects like this. So I'm at about an hour and a half on the bike now. I just want to talk about some of the things that I've changed already and things I've noticed. And it's definitely, we're not really doing a review. This is just kind of learning the bike and sharing what I've learned. So things I've changed, I added a skid plate. I went with the airbox skid plate. The stock Husqvarna one, I think, is made out of the same composite as the subframe, and it costs like 220 bucks. And the airbox one is 65. And for something that I'm just going to be essentially grinding into the dirt, I didn't really think the extra cost was worth it. It's just kind of a bling thing as far as I'm concerned. What I noticed is this bike already has the mounts built into the frame. The older version, my 2017 KTM for example, had a little metal retainer that pushed up against the frame, and it had rubber pads on it, but after a while those just vibrate and fall apart, and then you got metal to metal, and now you're scratching up your frame. So with these, they already have the mounts on, so it's 3 bolts and you're done. The airbox skid plate is a really cool design. It molds in with the bike so it doesn't jump out like some kind of big, piece of enduro hardware or anything like that. Second thing I have done is my backgrounds. I got my number plates, my backgrounds on. And something that I really dig about this design of the plastic is that you're not putting on a great big huge piece of graphic. You've got this line down the middle, the seam, and so you're putting in smaller pieces. That makes it a lot easier to put on, makes it a lot just easier to line up and things like that. So even though I don't love the line cosmetically, as far as living with the bike and actually putting the pieces on, it's awesome. I will give a little plug to DecalWorks. They kind of surprised me because, whether you know or not, the Huskies come with 2 airbox lids. One's vented and one's not. So I was thinking to myself, man, which one am I going to, do I want to commit to putting the sticker on one or the other? Well, it turns out DecalWorks ships you a graphic to go on both of those. So you're good to go. You can swap it out. And I think that's a really cool touch because they don't really have to do that. They could probably charge you another 15 bucks or whatever. So that's really awesome. Overall, I'm happy with the graphics. I also like Decal does their full-on graphics lab, and as someone who's had a little bit of graphic design experience, to me it's cool to be able to go in and try and fine-tune my graphics the way that I like it and not just be stuck with something else. So I want just kind of a pretty subtle design, nothing crazy. I'm not really into circus bikes. So I just went with kind of a subtle design that I think complements what's already there from Husky. So I'm really happy with that, and seeing it with my number on it makes it feel much more like my own bike. The next thing to talk about, some observations. First off, there's been some, I know that other reviews earlier or previous years always rag on the throttle pull. Well, this bike, I checked the pull against on my KTM, and I guess these must already come with the black one, so no concerns there about having to swap that out. Sprockets and spokes, definitely keep an eye on them. Mine got loose, so you want to watch out for that. And then something else that's kind of cool to me is this bike, it seems like they thought a lot about the wear areas and where your legs are going to rub and things like that. So there's a lot of blue in places where you're going to be rubbing a lot and wearing, and even like the blue front fork guards, those are going to retain their looks. And I know that the brands have to change it up year to year, but for me personally, I think this year is going to be a good year for something that doesn't look roached after a few rides. Today I'm out at D&A MX Park. This is a hard pack track. I was going to go to a sand track today, but they were closed. So I'm still not going to get a great read on my suspension settings, but what I am going to focus on today is really trying to use that mid to top power a little bit more and explore that now that the engine's broken in. So that, I'm going to get out, get in some motos, and hopefully get a better feel for what this engine does. I'll be back after to talk about what I learned today. Few meadows sessions out here today at D&A in Saluda, South Carolina. It's a track that I ride a lot and I'm very comfortable on. My plans today to hit the sand track, it fell through because they got washed out and had to do some work. So didn't learn really much about the suspension today, if anything, but I did try out that vented airbox cover. And I tried map 2 for a couple laps, and there's something about map 2 that it's like, again, I haven't ridden it in deep dirt. I think in sand or deep loam or something, map 2 is going to be fun, but for the slick stuff where you're kind of tiptoeing around, it's a little bit too much snap kind of in the middle of it for me at my level. So I did try out the vented airbox, and that was cool because it wasn't so much of adding, like the map 2 adds like snap in one place, but it felt like with the airbox it just added a little bit more, or the airbox vent, it just added like a little bit more, just made it a little stronger everywhere, and it helped it get to that top end a little bit smoother. But it wasn't like, it wasn't disruptive, it wasn't jolting, it was just like, it just, you know, felt a little bit freer, I guess would probably be a good way to describe it. So even in these conditions, I still like that. So I have a feeling I'm probably going to stick with that. I ran it with and without traction control today. I can't say I could really tell a difference. But so at least for me here today, slick dry track, I was pretty happy with map 1 and just the vented airbox, just let it breathe a little bit more. So I think that's really the only thing today. Again, apologize I didn't get a chance to get onto a track with some real gnarly bumps, but hopefully in the next few days we'll get that knocked out, and I'm hoping to put together a race here pretty soon too and get a real race test on it. I think it's going to be really interesting, and as you saw in the video today, I was able to really crack down on it and get to that top end, and it's, boy, it's so healthy. It's plenty healthy up there, so that's fun, and it just revs forever. But for my riding style, and at least the tracks I've been on so far, it's not really necessary to be up there, and probably the trade-offs of everything else may not be worth it to try and run it like that all the time, like run it like a strung out 250. I think it's actually seems to be pretty okay with a calmer approach, at least for somebody in the intermediate level like me, not trying to run it like a crazy 250. So it's fun. We're learning more and looking forward to the next time. Thanks for watching. Hope you subscribe, and we'll keep them coming.